Hi guys. So I'm going to go through for you the class slides that I posted on Blackboard, just to kind of give you a little bit of extra information as to what's going on. The first section, the first four chapters, and the first section of the class are really very much of just an overview of what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to do a quick run through on chapter 1 and what you can expect from some of the topics we're going to cover. Okay, so the first chapter is the exceptional manager, what you do, how you do it. Okay, so first define an organization. It's a group of people who work together to achieve some specific purpose. And managers operate within the organization to try to reach those goals. And organizations can be as large as General Motors and Ford and IBM or Amazon, and they can be as small as something just with a few employees. Okay, so the art of management. It's the pursuit of organizational goals efficiently and effectively by integrating the work of people through planning, organizing, leading, and controlling the organization's resources. So, 1, 2, 3. We're going to talk over and over again about planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Actually, the second part of the class is planning and organizing, and the third part of the class we talk about leading and controlling. Okay, so we're going to continue to define the art of management. It's to be efficient and effective. So to be efficient means to use resources at hand, people, money, raw materials, and such wisely and cost effectively. And to be effective means to achieve results and to make the right decisions and to successfully carry them out so that they achieve the organization's goals. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come to planning, about achieving goals and setting goals and all that kind of thing. Okay, so why do we care about management and why study management? So you can better ultimately the whole point of getting an education is to not only learn things and enhance your horizons, but it's also, let's be real, to get a job. So you want to be able to understand organizations from, how to deal with organizations from the outside, both, as a consumer and also as someone who's dealing, if you have to deal with a company, if you're in sales or customer service and you're dealing with another company. You want to be able to understand how to relate to your supervisors, how to interact with coworkers, and you're going to also understand how to manage yourself in the workplace. So understanding management organizations from the outside and from the inside. We're going to talk about all sorts of different things, decision making, we'll talk about corporate culture, team building, all these different things, and through that you'll understand these things will become more apparent. Okay, so what are the rewards of practicing management? You'll feel a better sense of accomplishment. You can increase your level of expertise, and you'll be able to improve your company by increasing the number of products and services. You can help other people. These are all things that are rewarding. If you're a good manager, these are the things that you'll be able to reap the benefit from. Okay, so we talked about this before. There are 4 functions of management: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So planning is you set goals and you decide how to achieve them. Organize, you arrange the tasks and people in order to get them done. So planning, you can think about planning in a variety of different ways. When you're planning a trip, when you're planning to go out for the night, when you're planning your future. So maybe your goal is to get a 2-year degree in 24 months, and then organized, you would figure out how you're going to achieve those, how you're going to set it up, and then leading it, motivating people. That's really more work. Okay, well, in this instance, planning for your education to be motivating yourself, but also in the workplace, motivating other people and trying to figure out how to achieve the goals. And then controlling essentially is going back and checking and seeing how well you did achieving your goals. Okay, so there are lots of challenges to being a exceptional manager, and we're going to go through them one by one, and we also talk about them. We're going to go through them one by one in this section. We'll also talk about many of them in class. So you can read them 1 to 6: managing for competitive advantage, for information technology, diversity, globalization, ethical standards, sustainability, and happiness and meaningfulness in your own life. So let's first talk about competitive advantage. Um, Competitive advantage is the idea, it's the ability of an organization to produce goods or services more effectively than competitors do, or thereby outperforming them. So it can also be like, well, what's your competitive advantage? Is it quality? Is it availability? Is it price? So competitive advantage is very important. And it means that you've got to really be responsive to customers. You have to be willing to change and be flexible, provide quality, be efficient, all of those kinds of things. So competitive advantage is very important. If you lose your competitive advantage, you're going to start to lose your customers to the competition, and then boom, there's nothing else to manage. Okay, managing for information technology. So information technology is essentially anything that's done on the computer. So by 2019, consumers worldwide are projected to spend $3.55 trillion online, which is double even what was done a few years ago. So information technology has really changed e-business, using the internet to facilitate every aspect of running a business, whether it does not just as retail, but tracking orders and communicating with people perhaps in other countries. But information technology is very important, and being able to manage the data that comes in and knowing what data you're looking for and that kind of thing. Okay, managing for diversity. Essentially, we live and have always lived in a melting pot, and we are becoming. We used to be a predominantly European country with European roots, but we are becoming much more diverse, both ethnically and also in terms of religion and race and all those different things, and also gender, because it used to be that it was only not a lot of women were in the workplace, but now women are a very big part of the workplace. Also, older people are a much big part of the workplace, that kind of thing. So it's very important that a manager can manage for diversity and be sensitive to different groups of people and be able to keep everybody happy. Okay, managing for globalization. Globalization is this idea that there's this borderless world, and we're becoming closer and closer together, and that, excuse me, that it's not just doing business within our own country, that we have to understand other countries and keep in touch with them through technology and being willing to understanding other cultures, that kind of thing. Okay, managing for ethical standards, very important. Ethics is a hugely important role. It plays a hugely important role in business. It hasn't always necessarily been something that we've talked a lot about in business, but in the past 10 to 15 years, there's been increased awareness of it, and also legislation causing greater consequences for people who participate in unethical behavior. And there are all sorts of examples in the book that we, Jeffrey Skillen, Bernie Madoff, all that kind of thing. You can see those in the book. Okay, so managing for sustainability. Sustainability is this idea that you are able to satisfy the needs of this generation without compromising the needs of the next. So climate change certainly has been affected how we think about ecology and the environment and that kind of thing. And making sure, as I said, that we're not using up our resources, we're not causing too much pollution, we're not, ruining the waters and that kind of thing. Sustainability is very important. Okay, happiness and meaningfulness. A lot of people might say, why do people want you to work? You're not supposed to be happy and have any kind of meaning. But it's not that simple. It's important to be happy, because if you're not happy in your work, if you don't find meaning in your work, then you're probably not going to excel in your work. So it's this idea, it's something to think about. Meaningfulness is some sort of level of satisfaction. People who work in the healthcare industry might have a lot of sense of meaningfulness, that they're really helping people. Teachers, I have a lot of, I feel the great meaning in my work with, guiding people and getting to know young people and teaching them things. People who work, social workers, that kind of thing. You can have how you define meaningfulness is as different as each person is, but it's important that you have some meaning in your work and that you maintain that there's some level of happiness. It's a delicate balance, and it is something that only we can answer for ourselves, or you can answer for yourself. Okay, so let's move on to a little bit more mechanical thing here. Levels of management, we're also going to talk about them. There's top management, middle management, frontline managers, and then non-managerial personnel. So it just gives you top, middle, first line, and then non-managerial personnel. So we're going to talk about that and go through and define them as we go through. We're going to use these terms a lot, and it's important you understand them. Okay, so what do? Top managers make long-term decisions about the overall direction of the organization and establish objectives, policies, and strategies for doing it. So those are the guys at the top, the men and the women at the top. Middle managers implement the policies and plans, and they also supervise people, the frontline managers below them. So the middle manager often has a lot of interaction with other people. Okay, and then there's a first line manager, and they make short-term operating decisions, usually up to 6 months or a year, and they direct daily tasks of non-managerial personnel, so the worker bee. So it would be the person who's at the bottom actually doing the work. And there's also team leaders, which are similar to first line managers, and they are responsible for facilitating team activities for usually specific results. We're going to talk about that later on in the semester with team building and that kind of thing. But again, this is really just very much of an overview. Okay, so there's functional managers and then there's general managers. Functional managers are responsible for one organization's activity, like, for example, finance, human resources, production, research and development, marketing. That's functional. It's a function within the company. Then the general manager are responsible for several activities. So it might be an executive vice president, someone in a nonprofit organization, the executive director of the nonprofit organization. So they're responsible for a variety of different functions. Functional and general. Okay, and there are essentially 3 different types of organizations. For-profit organizations, which are the ones that we're most familiar with. Those are ones that make money, the Fords, the GMs, the Amazons, the McDonald's, that kind of thing. It's a for-profit organization. A nonprofit organization or not-for-profit organization offers some sort of services, not to make a profit. So hospitals, colleges, social welfare agencies, museums, galleries, schools, these are all nonprofit organizations. Then there's mutual benefit organizations. That's the idea that they help their members within. Political parties, farm cooperatives, labor unions, trade associations, that kind of thing. Excuse me. Okay, so what are some of the skills that the exceptional manager needs? Technical skills, definitely technical skill, whether it be information technology and computer skills or things that are specialized in their field. Conceptual skills, it's essentially the ability to think and analyze things and make decisions and understand how things work in the abstract and then make decisions based on that. And then human skills. Human skills, also referred to as soft skills or interpersonal skills. It's the ability to work with people and be cooperative and get things done and also motivate people and that kind of thing. Inspire trust, be able to communicate well, that kind of stuff. Okay, so what are some of the most valued traits in managers? You want to be able to motivate other people because the whole point of a manager is to try to get people to do stuff, usually stuff they don't want to do. Be able to communicate well and give important information. Work experience outside the United States is becoming increasingly important just because of the number of the amount of the level of globalization and international business that we do. And then also high energy levels because we do live in a 24/7 world. For top managers, they need to be on all the time. Okay, so different roles that managers have to play. Generally speaking, the manager, and this is what one researcher says, Mitzberg, a manager relies more on verbal than unwritten communication, so in talking to people, that kind of thing. Generally speaking, you have to work long hours and very intensely, and there's all sorts of balls in the air. Constantly lots of balls in there, juggling all sorts of things, trying to keep track of all sorts of different things going on. It's and that might be a little, 5 minutes on this project, 5 minutes on that project, 3 minutes on that project. Part information there, part information there. So you really have to be on the ball. Okay, 3 types of managerial roles. We talked a little bit about this. Interpersonal roles, being able to interact with people both in the organization and outside the organization. Informational, that is essentially managing the flow of communication, receiving it, and also sending it out. And then decisional roles, and that is to be able to make decisions based on uh, um, things that are the information that's been given to you. And also this idea of being the entrepreneur and being able to come up with good. It's usually often called the entrepreneur within an organization, but being able to come up with new ideas and and that kind of thing. Figure out how you're going to allocate your resources. Who's going to get, how much are you going to budget for things? How are you going to negotiate deals? That kind of thing. Okay, so briefly, we're going to talk about the link between entrepreneurship and management. So an entrepreneur is someone who comes up with an idea and takes a risk to try to create a new enterprise. That's entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is someone who sees the opportunity and takes care of it. And then the entrepreneur is someone that works with inside an existing organization who sees the opportunity and comes up with the idea. So it could be the person that came with the first idea for the iPhone, or someone who comes up with a new way to cut excuse me, cut steel, that kind of thing. So an entrepreneur is someone within the organization that comes up with ideas. Entrepreneur is someone who assumes the risks and takes on their own business, starts their own business. Okay, but there's a big difference between entrepreneurs and managers. Entrepreneur is usually very focused on vision, and we'll talk about this later, this idea of tolerance to risk. They're willing to take chances. So it's the entrepreneur is kind of big picture. They're out there, doing it for the first time, coming up with these ideas, that kind of thing. The manager, on the other hand, is someone who maintains the day-to-day. So, although they're not necessarily coming up with the ideas, the entrepreneur go batty, trying to keep it up every day. But so that's why they have the managers. But there are both managers and entrepreneurs both have some high need for achievement. We're going to talk about that. The desire to get things done. High tolerance for ambiguity. That's this idea that you can deal with things that are kind of vague. And then also believe that they're in control of their own destiny. It's the idea that they have this internal locus of control. Okay, so that's it for chapter 1. A quick overview. All of these topics we're going to see again in class, but it's really just a first introduction to some of the topics in the vocabulary. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you back for chapter 2.